Have you ever pondered about the magnitude of scams that unfold in India every day? It's a question that many of us have asked, but few have truly grasped the extent of. India, a nation of over 1 billion people, is a breeding ground for all sorts of scams, from the rudimentary to the complex, from the petty to the grand. The numbers are staggering and they paint a sobering picture. India ranks among the top nations in the world for reported cases of scams. From online fraud to telephone deception, the variety of scams is as diverse as it is disheartening. But what's even more disconcerting is that these numbers only represent the tip of the iceberg. Many victims of scams never report their experiences, either out of fear, shame, or ignorance. Today, we're not just talking about scams, we're talking about the people behind the statistics, the human stories of loss, betrayal, and shattered trust. We're talking about the senior citizen who lost their life savings to a lottery scam, the hopeful entrepreneur who was tricked into investing in a non-existent business, the job seeker who paid a hefty fee for a position that didn't exist. These scams are not just a financial drain on the victims and their families, they erode trust in institutions, in people, and in the systems that are meant to protect us. They create a culture of fear and skepticism, where every opportunity is viewed with suspicion, and every stranger could potentially be a scammer. And yet, despite the grim reality, it's a topic that often gets overlooked, swept under the rug in favor of more pressing issues. But the truth is, understanding and addressing the scam epidemic is crucial to building a safer, more trustworthy society. Each statistic we encounter represents a tale of trust broken and dreams shattered. But it's not just about the numbers. It's about the people behind the numbers, their stories, their experiences, and their lessons. It's about understanding the problem, acknowledging its existence, and working towards a solution. As we delve deeper into this issue, let's remember that knowledge is power, and awareness is the first step towards prevention. Because in the end, the best way to fight scams is to understand them. The face of scams has dramatically changed over the years. Scams are not what they used to be. They have evolved, adapted, and grown more complex. Much like a chameleon, they change their colors to blend in, making it increasingly difficult to separate the real from the fake. In the early days, scams were relatively simple and straightforward. They often involved a poorly written email from a so-called Nigerian prince, promising you a hefty sum of money in exchange for your help in transferring his wealth. However, as technology advanced, so did the scams and the scammers behind them. Email scams gave way to more sophisticated operations. Fake call centers sprouted up, employing hundreds of individuals trained to impersonate IRS agents, tech support, or even your bank's customer service. They would pressure or trick unsuspecting victims into handing over their hard-earned money or divulging sensitive information. Phishing emails also became a popular tool in the scammer's arsenal. These are crafted to look like they're from a reputable source, such as your bank or a popular social media site. The goal? To trick you into entering your login information on a fake website, giving the scammer access to your account. But it's not just about technology. Scammers have also mastered the art of social engineering. They exploit our natural inclination to trust and our desire to help others. They pose as a friend in need, a loved one in trouble, or a reputable charity seeking donations. And then, there are the romance scams. Scammers create fake profiles on dating sites and social media, starting an online romance only to eventually ask for money, citing a variety of sob stories. Investment scams have also seen a rise in popularity, with scammers promising high returns and exploiting the recent fascination with cryptocurrencies. They lure people into Ponzi schemes, where the returns for older investors are paid out of the funds contributed by newer ones, until the whole house of cards eventually collapses. The evolution of scams is a reflection of our changing society and technology. As we become more interconnected, the opportunities for scammers multiply. They are quick to exploit new technologies, trends, and even global crises, as we've seen with the proliferation of scams related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The battle between law enforcement and criminals has become an intricate cat-and-mouse game. As authorities adapt and learn to combat one type of scam, a new one emerges. It's a constant struggle to stay one step ahead, but it's a battle we must continue to fight. Scams are constantly evolving, And so must our awareness and understanding of them. By staying informed about the latest scam tactics and trends, we can better protect ourselves and our loved ones. Remember, knowledge is the best defense. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay safe. Behind every scam, there is a human story. Now let's take a moment to reflect on the human impact of scams. While we often talk about scams in terms of numbers and statistics, it's important to remember that behind each case is a person who has suffered a loss. Imagine the excitement of a small business owner who thinks they've secured a lucrative contract only to discover it was all a ruse, or the relief of a struggling family who believes they've won a lottery only to find out it was a cruel joke. And let's not forget the betrayal felt by someone who thought they'd met their soulmate online but instead found a scammer on the other end. These are not just financial losses. Their dreams shattered, trust violated, and lives turned upside down. It's the elderly couple who lose their life savings to a fake investment scheme, forced to question every decision they've made. It's the young graduate who falls prey to a job scam, starting their professional journey with a setback. It's the hopeful entrepreneur who pours their heart and soul into a venture, only to be swindled by a fraudulent partner. The emotional toll of scams can be just as devastating, if not more so, than the financial damage. It can lead to feelings of shame, guilt, and self-blame among victims. The psychological impact can be crippling, leading to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Scams also erode trust in society. Every fraudulent call, every deceptive email, every fake profile chips away at our collective trust. It creates a sense of skepticism and fear, making us question every opportunity, every unexpected windfall, every stranger who reaches out with a helping hand. Scammers not only steal money, they also steal peace of mind. They rob people of their faith in humanity, their optimism for the future. They hijack dreams and replace them with nightmares. But the impact of scams doesn't stop at the victims. It reverberates through families, communities, and entire societies. It's the children who bear the brunt of their parents' financial strain, the friends who are left picking up the pieces, the communities that are torn apart by suspicion and fear. The ripple effect of scams goes beyond monetary loss, impacting lives in profound ways. It's a sobering reminder of the human cost of this scam epidemic and why we need to fight back with everything we've got. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about protecting our wallets, it's about safeguarding our dreams, our trust, and our collective sense of security. Technology has been a game changer, but not always for the better. Indeed, when we speak of technology, we often marvel at how it has revolutionized our lives, from the way we communicate to how we conduct business. However, this remarkable transformation comes with a dark side, a side that has provided new tools and platforms for scammers to exploit unsuspecting victims. Consider this. With the advent of the internet and digital platforms, scams have evolved from simple con jobs to sophisticated operations that transcend geographical boundaries. Scammers no longer need to be physically present to carry out their nefarious activities. They can be sitting in one corner of the globe, orchestrating scams that impact victims thousands of miles away. Take, for instance, spoofed phone numbers. This technology allows scammers to mask their actual phone numbers, making it appear as though they are calling from a local number or even a trusted organization. This tactic not only confuses victims, but also makes it harder for authorities to trace the origin of the calls. Then there's the realm of online scams. Fake websites, for example, are designed to look like legitimate businesses, luring victims into providing sensitive information such as credit card details or personal identification numbers. These websites are often sophisticated replicas of real sites, making it difficult for the average internet user to distinguish between the real and the fake. Let's not forget about phishing emails. These are deceptive messages disguised as official communications from reputable organizations. They trick people into clicking on links or opening attachments, which then install malware on their devices or lead them to fraudulent websites. And then there are these social media scams. Scammers often create fake profiles to befriend potential victims, gain their trust, and eventually trick them into sending money or disclosing personal information. One of the most alarming aspects of these scams is their ability to exploit the very essence of human interaction: trust. Through social engineering tactics, scammers manipulate individuals into revealing confidential information, often through the guise of urgency or fear. In the face of these challenges, it's crucial to remember that technology itself is not the villain. It's a tool, a conduit, and like any tool, its use can be employed for good or bad. It's the individuals behind the scams who twist its potential to serve their malicious intents. The digital landscape, as exciting as it is also a breeding ground for scams. But with the right knowledge and vigilance, we can navigate its pitfalls. As we continue to embrace technology, let's also arm ourselves with the awareness to identify and ward off scams. Let's turn technology from a double-edged sword into a shield against fraud. And remember, the best defense in this digital age is a well-informed and vigilant user. Tackling scams is not a one-man job. It's a collective effort that demands the involvement of multiple stakeholders, including government agencies and law enforcement. But what exactly is the role of these entities in combating scams, and what obstacles do they face? The government, with its wide-reaching influence, plays a pivotal part in this fight. They enact laws and regulations aimed at protecting citizens from fraudulent activities. These laws cover a broad spectrum, from cybercrime legislation to consumer protection acts. However, creating laws is just the first step. Effective enforcement is the real challenge. That's where law enforcement comes into play. They're the ones on the front line, investigating scams, apprehending culprits, and ensuring justice for victims. They employ a range of strategies, from traditional detective work to cutting-edge cybercrime units. But it's not all smooth sailing for our boys and girls in blue. Scammers are constantly evolving, always finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities and stay one step ahead of the law. For law enforcement, keeping up with these changing tactics is like trying to hit a moving target. It's a constant game of adaptation and innovation. Then there's the issue of resources. Law enforcement agencies often grapple with limited manpower and budget constraints. It's a tough balancing act, allocating resources between the myriad of crimes they're tasked with handling. And let's not forget the bureaucratic red tape that can often slow down progress. Despite these challenges, the government and law enforcement continue to persevere in their mission to protect the public from scams. They're constantly refining their strategies, improving their capabilities, and collaborating with international counterparts to combat cross-border scams. Yet, they can't do it alone. They need the public's help in reporting scams, providing information, and supporting their efforts. Remember, every bit of information can be a vital clue in solving a scam case. The fight against scams is a complex one, fraught with hurdles and challenges. But with a united front, we can turn the tide against these fraudsters and create a safer environment for all. Knowledge is our strongest defense. In the battlefield against scams, awareness is our most potent weapon. The more we understand about the enemy's tactics, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves. But awareness isn't just about knowing the facts. It's about understanding the nuances, the ins and outs of how scams work, and how they're constantly evolving. Every scam has a pattern, a modus operandi. The con artists may change, the methods may evolve, but the underlying mechanisms remain the same. They prey on vulnerability, exploit trust, and leverage our fears and desires. By understanding these patterns, we can spot the red flags, the warning signs that something isn't quite right. But understanding is just half the battle. It's one thing to know about scams. It's another to be vigilant, to actively apply that knowledge in our daily lives. Vigilance is about staying alert, questioning the too-good-to-be-true offers, and double-checking before we click on that link or share our personal information. Now let's talk about public education. It's the cornerstone of building a fortress of awareness. It's about disseminating knowledge, about making sure that everyone, regardless of age, background, or technological proficiency, understands the risks and knows how to protect themselves. It's about fostering a culture of cybersecurity, where safety isn't an afterthought but an integral part of our digital lives. Educational campaigns, workshops, and online resources play a crucial role in this endeavor. They offer practical advice, easy-to-understand information, and real-life examples that help us visualize and understand the threats. They equip us with the tools we need to fortify our defenses and safeguard our digital landscape. But public education isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process, a continuous effort to stay one step ahead of the scammers. As technology advances, as our digital footprint expands, so too do the threats. We need to adapt, to learn, to grow. And that's where continuous learning comes into play. It's about staying updated, about constantly expanding our knowledge base and refining our defenses. Building a fortress of awareness also involves community engagement. It's about sharing stories, learning from each other's experiences, and supporting one another. It's about creating a network of informed, vigilant individuals who can spot the signs, sound the alarm, and help others navigate the treacherous waters of scams. Finally, let's not forget the role of the media. By highlighting the stories, the scams, and the victims, they bring the issue to the forefront of public consciousness. They play a crucial role in spreading awareness, in sparking conversations, and in keeping the issue alive in our collective memory. Awareness and vigilance are our first line of defense against scams. They are the walls of our fortress, the shields that protect us from the onslaught of scams. But it's up to us to build these walls, to raise these shields. It's up to us to arm ourselves with knowledge, to stay vigilant, and to help others do the same. Because together we can build a fortress of awareness, a stronghold against scams. For victims of scams, the road to justice can be daunting. The aftermath of falling prey to a scam can leave one feeling isolated, overwhelmed, and powerless. But it's important to remember that you're not alone. There are support systems in place to aid victims on their journey towards justice and recovery. Scam victims often grapple with feelings of shame and guilt. It's crucial to dispel the stigma surrounding scams and foster an environment where victims feel comfortable seeking help. After all, the scammer is the one who should bear the shame, not the victim. Support services play a pivotal role in this process. From hotlines that offer immediate assistance to organizations that provide counseling, these resources can help victims navigate their emotional turmoil. They serve as a beacon of hope, guiding victims out of the darkness and into the light. Legal assistance is another crucial component of the support system. Scams are not just unethical, they're illegal, and victims have the right to seek justice. Legal aid services can help victims understand their rights, navigate the complex legal system, and build a strong case against their scammers. But empowerment goes beyond providing support and seeking justice. It's about transforming victims into advocates, into warriors in the fight against scams. Sharing their stories can serve as a powerful tool for change. It can raise awareness about scams, educate others about the tactics used by scammers, and inspire action. Imagine a world where every scam victim becomes a beacon of knowledge, shedding light on the dark corners of the scam world. Their experiences, their stories, can serve as a powerful deterrent, making potential victims think twice before falling into the scammer's trap. Creating a platform for victims to share their experiences is thus an integral part of empowering them. Whether it's through social media, community forums, or public speaking events, these platforms give victims a voice that resonates with power, with resilience, and with an indomitable spirit that refuses to be silenced by scammers. Empowerment also means equipping victims with the necessary tools to protect themselves in the future. This involves educating them about common scam tactics, teaching them how to spot red flags, and promoting a culture of vigilance and skepticism. Knowledge, after all, is the most potent weapon against scams. To all the scam victims out there, remember this: you are not a victim, but a survivor. Your experience is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your resilience. And your story is not a tale of defeat, but a rallying cry for change. Empowerment and support can help victims transform their experiences into powerful tools for change. Together, we can turn the tide against scams and build a future where every individual is equipped with the knowledge and the confidence to say, "I am not a victim, I am a warrior." Let's take a closer look at some of the most notorious scams that have jolted India. Picture this: a seemingly legitimate call center, complete with cubicles, headsets, and a bustling atmosphere. But beneath this facade lurks a sinister operation. Hundreds of workers trained to impersonate IRS officials, armed with scripts and a list of potential victims. This was the reality behind the infamous IRS scam that defrauded thousands of Americans out of millions of dollars, all from the heart of India's metropolis, Mumbai. Then there's the notorious cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. A scammer posing as a successful investor lures victims with promises of high returns. Unsuspecting individuals, seduced by the prospect of quick wealth, pour their hard-earned money into the scheme. But when the time comes to cash out, the scammer vanishes, leaving a trail of financial devastation. But it's not just about big-ticket scams. Let's not forget about the smaller yet equally damaging scams that plague everyday life. From fake job offers to phony tech support, these scams may not make headlines, but they leave a lasting impact on their victims. And what about the so-called romance scams? Predators lurking on dating sites, ready to exploit the lonely and vulnerable. Using fake profiles and carefully crafted stories, they manipulate emotions, building trust before ultimately asking for money. It's a cruel game that leaves victims not just financially but emotionally scarred. These scams share a common thread: deceit. Scammers play on fear, greed, and loneliness, exploiting human vulnerabilities to achieve their nefarious ends. They weave complex webs of lies, creating believable stories and personas that can fool even the most vigilant among us. But recognizing these tactics is half the battle. Understanding how scammers operate can equip us to spot red flags, question suspicious activity, and protect ourselves and our loved ones from falling prey to these schemes. Scammers may be cunning, but they're not infallible. They leave traces, clues that can help law enforcement track them down. From IP addresses to bank account details, every piece of the puzzle brings us one step closer to unmasking these criminals. Ultimately, the fight against scams is a collective effort. It requires vigilance, awareness, and a commitment to protecting not just ourselves, but our communities. By sharing our knowledge and experiences, we can help others avoid the same pitfalls. Understanding the enemy is the first step towards defeating them. Our collective action can make a difference. These words aren't just a call to action, they're a powerful reminder of the role we each play in the fight against scams. The role of social responsibility in combating scams can't be overstated. It's not just about protecting ourselves, but also about safeguarding our communities, our friends, our families. Scammers thrive in the shadows, exploiting the unaware and the uninformed. As responsible citizens, it's our duty to shine a light on these dark corners and expose the tactics of these fraudsters. But what does social responsibility actually look like in the context of scams? Well, it starts with education. Sharing information about the latest scams, the most common tactics, and the red flags to watch out for can make a significant difference. It's about sparking conversations, whether that's at the dinner table, in the workplace, or on social media. Then, there's the act of reporting. If you come across a potential scam, don't just ignore it, report it. Whether it's to law enforcement, a consumer protection agency, or even your social media network, every report contributes to a broader understanding of scam operations and helps authorities take action. Advocacy is another crucial aspect of social responsibility. This could mean pushing for stronger consumer protection laws, lobbying for more resources for law enforcement, or supporting organizations that provide aid to scam victims. It's about using our voices and our votes to drive meaningful change. And let's not forget about supporting victims. Those who have fallen prey to scams often feel isolated, embarrassed, and overwhelmed. Offering a listening ear, a kind word, or a helping hand can go a long way. It's about fostering a culture of empathy and understanding rather than judgment or blame. To wrap up, let's remember that social responsibility isn't a solo act, it's a collective effort. It's about working together as a community to fight against scams. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play and that every action, no matter how small, can make a difference. Yes, scams are a serious problem. Yes, they can cause significant harm. But by taking on the mantle of social responsibility, we can help to protect not just ourselves, but our communities too. We can help to create a world where scams are less prevalent, less successful, and less damaging. Every effort, no matter how small, contributes to the larger battle against scams. So let's do our part. Let's be vigilant, let's be proactive, let's be socially responsible because together we can make a difference. The fight against scams may seem overwhelming, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. As we look towards the future, we see a world where collective action, education, and technological innovation are our strongest weapons against fraud. Imagine a society where each citizen is a vigilant guardian, where we stand united against scams, refusing to let our fellow human beings fall prey to deceit. It's not an impossible dream, but a reality within our grasp. All it requires is a commitment from each one of us to stay informed, stay alert, and most importantly, to care for each other. Education is our second line of defense. When we arm ourselves with knowledge about common scam tactics, we become less susceptible to fraud. Schools, workplaces, community centers, these are all platforms where cybersecurity awareness can be promoted, where we can learn to discern the genuine from the fraudulent, where we can build a culture of vigilance. And then there's technology, a tool as powerful as the person wielding it. While it's true that scammers have harnessed the power of technology to exploit unsuspecting victims, it's equally true that we can use technology to our advantage. From advanced algorithms that detect fraudulent activity to secure platforms that protect our personal information, technological innovation holds the key to a safer future. But the fight against scams isn't just about what we can do as individuals. It's about what we can achieve together. It's about government bodies working tirelessly to enforce regulations, about law enforcement agencies cracking down on fraudulent operations, about nonprofits offering support to victims of scams. It's about collaboration on a grand scale. The journey may be long and the battle may be tough, but remember, every step we take is a step towards a safer, more resilient society. A society where trust isn't a vulnerability, but a strength. A society where scams are the exception, not the norm. Together we can build a safer, more resilient society for future generations. Your awareness and vigilance can make a difference. It's a statement that rings true in every aspect of our lives, but perhaps never more so than when we're talking about scams. You see, scams thrive on ignorance. They feed on the unsuspecting, the unprepared, those who don't know what to look for or how to protect themselves. But you, armed with knowledge and a keen sense of vigilance, you can be the one who stops a scam in its tracks. Think about it. Every time you question a suspicious email, every time you refuse to give out personal information over the phone to an unknown caller, every time you report a potential scam to the authorities, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting others too. You're disrupting the scammer's plans, making it harder for them to succeed. But it's not just about being reactive. It's also about being proactive. Support anti-scam initiatives in your community. Advocate for stronger consumer protections. Educate your friends, your family, your neighbors about the dangers of scams and how to avoid them. Because the more people who know, the fewer victims there will be. The fight against scams is not a solitary one. It's a collective effort, a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play, a part to contribute. And when we all work together, when we stand united against scams, we stand a chance of winning. So, don't let your guard down. Stay alert, stay informed, keep asking questions, keep challenging the status quo. Because every action, every decision, every single moment of vigilance makes a difference. Scams may be a part of our reality, but they don't have to define it. We have the power to change the narrative, to turn the tide, and it starts with you. It starts with all of us. Remember, by staying vigilant, you are part of the solution. Together, we can combat scams.